Good morning. Hopefully you guys had a good day outside yesterday after you finished your e-learning. Today we are going to be working on converting from pounds to ounces, but we're going to be looking at that in the form of how do we find out fractions of pounds and how many ounces it is. So let's start with the first one when it says 1 pound is how many ounces. Well, if you don't remember from the front of your book, that is 16 ounces. So we're on page 258. What I want you to do is I want you to pause this video and try the first one, or first box, 1A. All right, so this is a review. So remember, whenever you're going from pounds to ounces to get from 1 to 16, we go times 16. So 3 times 16, you're doing that on a separate sheet of paper, that would give you 48. 5 times 16, you should have gotten 80. And 10 times 16 would give you 160. Okay, now how are we going to figure out what a half of a pound is? Well, some of you may know what 1/2 of 16 is, but what would that look like? Okay, well, if this is 16 ounces, because it's 1 pound, we want 1/2 of that, so we're going to split it into 2 equal groups. So what and what, or what times 2 would be a better way to say that. What times 2 gives us 16? Well, that would be 8. So we want just one of those 8s. So that means 1/2 of a pound would be 8 ounces. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says 1/8 of a pound. So 1 pound is still 16 ounces. Now we want 1/8 of that. So we're going to split it into 8ths. Again, pretend that those are equal, please. All right, so if we want 1/8 of that, let's think of it this way. What times 8 equals 16? Or in other words, 8 groups of what is 16? And we know that we would get 2. Because 2 times 8 gives us 16. Notice it's 1/8 of that, so that would just simply be 2 ounces. All right, pause the video for me and try the remaining 2 on this chart. All right, hopefully when you were doing this, you had to figure out what 1/4 of a pound is. So if we have 1 pound, we know that's how many ounces? 16. So you should have split this into 4 equal groups. What times 4 is 16? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, we want 1/4 of that. So that would simply be 4 ounces. Now in the next one, it says it wants 3/4 of a pound. 3/4 of a pound. Well, we know 1/4 is 4. So 2/4 would be 8, which makes 3/4 12. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 2 then on page 258. The yellowhammer is the state bird of Alabama. If a yellowhammer weighs 1/4 of a pound, what is the weight of 6 yellowhammers? All right, so I see a couple keywords here. One of them weighs 1/4 pound, and we want to know how much 6 of them weighs. So we're going to go 6 times 1/4. 6 times 1/4. All right, well, 6 groups of 1/4, if you count that out, 1/4 6 times, that would give you 6/4. So that would be 6/4, that would be 6/4 pounds. Okay, or you could also think of that as 1 2/4 pounds. Either way. Now they want to know, is that more or less than 30 ounces? We're not going to guess. We're going to try to figure out this for ourselves. All right. I know 1 pound is 16 ounces. We're splitting it into 4ths. How many 4ths do we need? We need 6/4. Now wait a second, that's only 4/4. So we're actually going to have 2 more 4ths out here to the side. Now, kind of forget about those ones on the right over here. Let's just look at 1 pound, 16 ounces. So 1 pound is 16 ounces. So what times 4 gives us 16? Oh, we just did that. That's 4 ounces. So for each 1/4, that is 4 ounces. Now we can go over to our 2 over here and fill in those 4 ounces as well. So when we count them up, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So that means 6/4 pounds is actually equal to 24 ounces. So it says, is that more or less than 30 ounces? Well, we know that 24 is definitely less than 30, so we would put less. All right, you're going to try this one. Number 3 says, what is the combined weight of 3 4 3/8 pound nenes from Hawaii and 2 7 5/8 pounds brown pelicans from Louisiana? All right, so why don't you try that problem on your own, pause this video, and when you get done, you can start the video again. All right, let's start with the first bird. I think we call it the nene. So we have 3 4 3/8 pounds birds. So 4 3/8 3 times. All right, so when you did this, 3/8, 6/8, 9/8, and then 4, 8, 12 would give you 12 9/8. Now some of you are like, wait a second, we can't leave it like that, and you are correct. Since this 9 is bigger than the 8, we need to regroup. If we take 8 away from that 9, we're left with 1. So we have 1/8, and that 1 that we take out, that 1 whole, I should say, that we take out goes into the 12. So the 12 becomes 13. All right, let's go on to our next bird. We have 2 7 5/8 pounds brown pelicans. So 7 5/8 2 times. 5/8 5/8 is 10/8. 7 7 is 14. 14 10/8. Now I'm going to need to regroup this. I'm trying to think where I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it. Let's take it up here. All right. So 10 minus 8 gives me 2 left over. And I'm going to take that whole number that I took out of that and put it into the 14, and that becomes 15. All right, so my 2 answers here. I have 13 1/8, and I have 15 2/8. It says, what is the combined length? Combined length. So that tells me I'm going to add. So I'm going to take my 2 answers, 15 2/8, plus 13 1/8. Let's see what I get. 2/8 1/8 gives me 3/8. And let's add our numbers. 5 3 gives me 8. 1 1 gives me 2. So we have 28 3/8 pounds. 28 3/8 pounds. Okay? All right, let's go to our last problem that we're going to do today. All right. It says, which weighs more? 5 7/8 pound greater roadrunners from New Mexico, or 4 1 1/8 pound ruffled grouse from Pennsylvania? All right, so let's start with this one. Why don't you pause the video? We'll do the first part, and then you can play the video, and then we'll do the second part here in a minute. All right, let's start with the first one. We have 5 of these great roadrunners from New Mexico. So that means we're going to do 7, excuse me, I don't want to write with the highlighter, 7/8 times 5. Okay, so 7/8, if I count by 7/8, 7/8, 14/8, 21/8, 28/8, and 35/8. Okay, I'm going to leave my answer as that for just a second. Let's go to the next one. We have 4 1/8 pounds bird from Pennsylvania. I think it's ruffed grouse. We'll just call it that. 4, 1 1/8. So 4 times 1 1/8. You could add this out like we did on our last problem, or if you remember from our previous lesson, you just simply take that whole number and multiply it by both the whole number and the fraction. So 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 1/8 is 4/8. Now, how do I compare these numbers? I have 35/8 and I have 4 4/8. Well, what I need to do is I need to convert one of them. And I think I'm going to go ahead and convert this one into a mixed number. How many times does 8 go into 35 without going over? Well, when you count by 8s, 8, 16, 24, 32. And then the next one would be 40. That would be too much. So it goes in 4 times, because 8 times 4 is 32. When you take 32 away from 35, you are left with 3. So we have 4 3/8. So go back to our original question. Our original question says, which bird weighs more? Which one weighs more? And the answer to that one is the 4 4/8, which would be the ruffed grouse. And it says how many more ounces? Wait a second. These are pounds. Pounds. It says how many more ounces. Well, if we know one answer is 4 4/8 and the other answer is 4 3/8, we're going to need to do a little bit of math to figure that out. So 4 4/8 minus 4 3/8. All right, 4/8 minus 3/8 is 1/8, and 4 minus 4 is nothing. So we get 1/8 pound. How do we figure out how many ounces that is? Well, remember, 1 pound is 16 ounces. We want 1/8 of that, so I'm going to split it into eighths. Okay, so what times 8 gives you 16? That's 2. So 1/8 would be 2 ounces. So I go back to my problem. 1/8 is 2 ounces. Okay. All right. So go ahead and find the IXL that you are working on today. Please, if you have tried 15, 20 problems and you are not making progress, please contact me. Ask me questions so that you are not spending, more than 20 minutes on your IXL. We should not be spending more than that. Okay, so please make sure you're contacting me, asking me those questions, just like you would in class. So good luck, and hopefully you have a good day.